Go.
Hello, I'm Alivia.
Hello, I'm Carter.
Hello, I'm Yeshua,
Hi, I'm Mitch.
and we're doing the Harlem Renaissance.
So opening up is the Jim Crow era and also the Great Migration, which was a direct result of that. So Jim Crow laws basically were laws that enforced separate but equal doctrines, and the idea basically legalized discrimination. So obviously, to flee from segregation, discrimination, and racial violence, about 6 million African Americans moved north, mostly to Chicago, Detroit, and New York.
Walk across the screen. Move. Move to Harlem. Okay. Next slide. Olivia, your turn.
Alright. There is joy in the woods now. The leaves are whispers of songs, and the birds make mirth of the bow. And the music the whole day long, and God, to dwell the town, in these spring-like summer days, on my brow unfading frown, and hate in my heart always. A machine of gear, tired, yet forced to go on, for I am hired. Just forced to go on through fear, for every day I must eat and find ugly clothes to wear, and my bad shoes to hurt my feet. A shelter for work, drugged, sleep. A mere drug, but what can one do? A man that cannot weep. Suicide, a quitter, oh no. But a slave should never grow tired, whom the master's the kindly heart. But oh, for the woods, the flowers of natural sweet perfume, the heartening summer showers, and the smiling shrubs in bloom, dust free, dew tinted at night, the fresh and life-giving air, the blowing waves of corn, and the bird's note, rich and clear. For a man, machine, total tired, may crave a beauty too, though he is hired.
Okay, so the Harlem Renaissance is a period of American history that is identified by the political and social changes that were occurring during this time, specifically with the Black community and specifically located within the Harlem community. This movement worked to challenge racial stereotypes placed against Black people that were previously put on them to harm the community and hold them back, and using art and literature to prove stereotypes wrong. This movement helped foster a generation of Black intellects and artists that would help shape the movement.
So we have Sailor by Langston Hughes. He carries his own strength and his own laughter, his own today and his own hereafter. This strong young sailor of the wide seas. What is money for? To spend, he says, and wine to drink, and woman to love, and today for joy, and tomorrow for joy, and the green sea for strength, and the brown land for laughter, and nothing hereafter.
Okay, so here we have Louis Armstrong, if you don't know him, but he was born in New Orleans and he became a great jazz soloist and played in different jazz bands from New Orleans, Chicago to New York City. Jazz found a home and Black music resonated with the hearts of whites as well. Clubs sprang up, the famous Cotton Club and the Lennox Lounge, among many others. And this is one of Aaron Douglas's paintings. He was an African American painter and graphic artist who played a leading role in the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s.
And then the literature from the Harlem Renaissance, kind of highlighting the two poets that we did two poems from. Langston Hughes, he was one of the younger generation writers and poets of the Harlem Renaissance. He pretty much created a network amongst Black artists, and he was the first Black person to make their living off of writing and doing lectures. And he pretty much used his career to try to expose racism rather than just providing positive examples. And some of his highlighted works would be The Weary Blues, I Too, and Still Here. And then Claude McKay. So Claude McKay was born in Sunnyvale, Jamaica. He was a very notable author and poet, and he mostly wrote poems about peasant life in Jamaica but also highlighting Black experiences in America. And some of his highlighted works are If We Must Die, Harlem Shadows, and The Lynching.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask y'all to look at the piece of paper that I handed out at the start of our presentation. So this is basically going to walk you down how to create your own poem in a similar style as Langston Hughes' poems. So first you're going to start with creating a call for your poem. The call is an introduction, it leads the poem, and it helps set up the stage for the next step, which is a response to that. So for example, Live For Me Ain't Been No Crystal Chair. The responses would be, it's had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up. So like it kind of responds and like reaffirms what the call was saying, but as a second voice. And then step 3 is to build the rhythm with the story and just make it flow, so you keep doing that pattern. This looked better when I got the pen flip, but yeah, that's the poem. Now you try it. And then do that.
Okay, the impact on African American identity. The seeds of the new black identity were shown with the growth of music, art, theater, and literature in Harlem. The movement had a big emphasis on self-expression, radical pride, and the celebration of Black heritage. The Great Migration drew Harlem some of the greatest minds and brightest talents of the day. There were 2 important civil rights groups that started in Harlem. First, the NAACP and the National Urban League, founded in 1911 to help the neo-arrivals from the rural South. So why does this matter, and what's the lasting legacy here? Well, the Harlem Renaissance gave representation to the African American culture. Black artists, writers, and musicians began to build their platform through the Harlem Renaissance. Voices are being heard and seen from rooms that were being shut out from them. A radical change emerged from a time of segregation, oppression, to now a time of freedom of expression and identity. The Harlem Renaissance provided the construction of the civil rights movement. The lasting legacy from the Harlem Renaissance was evident in the Montgomery bus boycott. Rosa Parks believed that she had a voice in the world, leading her to refuse to move seats. After having her voice heard in the U.S. Supreme Court case in 1956, Rosa Parks had become a symbol of the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement is just one of many other lasting legacies that the Harlem Renaissance sparked.
Thank you.